I am somebody. I may be poor, but I am somebody.
Good morning. Welcome to the Saturday Morning Community Forum. Each and every week we seek to inspire, engage, and involve you in the movement for change. I hope that you will enjoy this broadcast and you will tell your friends to tune in, to watch us, to listen to us, so that they might gain information and insight about critical issues that we face. Today we dedicate our broadcast to former Vice President, former U.S. Senator Walter Mondale, who made his transition this week. He was vice president under President Jimmy Carter. Mondale was the first person to run for president with a woman on his ticket, Geraldine Ferrara, who was, as a matter of fact, encouraged to run and was elected to the Senate as a result of Reverend Jesse Jackson's insistence that a woman could be president. We pay special tribute today to former Vice President Walter Mondale. Also, we're praying for the family of Joe Beasley and his family on the transition of his daughter. Joe Beasley is one of our founding board members, continues to be a loyal servant in this movement for change. And so, Joe Beasley, we're praying with you and your family on your loss. You're going to hear from Bishop Tavis Grant. Give us an update on Concordia as we look to challenge HUD to go back to the model cities program model as we provide housing for people who live on the margins, who cannot afford market rate rent, but they deserve quality housing and living conditions. And so we thank Bishop Grant, who will share with you an update on Concordia Place, which Reverend Jackson calls as a model for what we plan to do in HUD subsidized housing all across America.
This is Bishop Tavis Grant, the National Field Director for the Rainbow Push Coalition. I want to thank you for joining us for today's Saturday morning broadcast. You know, the work that we've been doing in housing here in Chicago is expanding to many places around the country. And our goal in the work and quest of Reverend Jesse Louis Jackson is to work for livable, sustainable, affordable housing. Our work at Concordia Place Apartments is expanding each and every day. I want to thank our National Youth Director, Reverend Cameron Barnes, for a job well done, along with our staff and our many, many volunteers, because we are raising the stakes and we are providing the necessary resources and support and assistance to the residents of the Concordia Place Apartments to help them achieve the goal of raising the quality of life as well as dignity and respect. And so if you want to join what we're doing, because this is a part of a national initiative to return to the example of creating model cities around the country, model cities, and restoring the middle class, as well as taking those at the bottom and raising them to a livable level that is sustainable and expandable all at the same time. So listen, you can join us. You see the address at the bottom of the screen, www.rainbowpush.org, or you can reach us here at the national headquarters, Dr. King's Workshop, 773-373-3366, Freedom on your dial. Hit us on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. And don't forget, we are keeping hope alive. Thank you.
Our youth director, Cameron Barnes, who this week was in Quincy, Illinois, with a demonstration involving a young lady we believe attacked in a facility, beaten because she was African American, we think. He'll give you an update on that investigation.
I could never imagine like something like that happening to me. And
in her first one-on-one interview, Jasper Evans is ready to walk us through what she says happened to her on April 4th, when she says she was brutally attacked at a Quincy bar. The Quincy University freshman says she and a friend stopped by The Barn, one of a few bars near campus. She says they both went to the DJ booth to put a song request in. That's when she says the bar owner approached and grabbed her.
He didn't even say anything to me at first. The first thing that he did to me was put his hands on me. He didn't ask me to leave. He didn't ask me what I was doing by the DJ booth. His first instinct was to just shove me up against the gate.
She says the bar owner cursed at her, threw her to the ground, punched her, and put her in a chokehold.
His arm was just like, it was so like big that like he couldn't even fit it around my neck all the way, to the point where he was like pushing my head down.
Why do you believe this person attacked you?
I believe he attacked me because I'm black. The girl that I was with was a white girl, and I'm obviously African American. We were doing the exact same thing, standing in the exact same spot, and he didn't say a word to her. They didn't even look in her direction. He like had tunnel vision, and he literally came straight for me.
And my daughter has been battered, she's been bruised, and she will forever have to deal with this.
Evans' parents say their daughter graduated with honors from Joliet West High School and received a full-ride college basketball scholarship. They say she's never been in trouble before.
That there was nothing that she could have done to provoke him. She's 125 pounds, he's 350 plus. That's not a fight, that's an assault, period.
This is unbelievable. Why is this guy not locked up right now? Why?
Quincy police confirmed to the ABC 7i team that the bar's owner was involved. According to Chief Rob Copley, they have not yet found evidence of racial motivation, but they are investigating the possibility.
In this type of incident, that's always a concern, and we're well aware of that. And if we can come up with evidence to show that, we will.
Evans' attorney, Keenan Salter, says police were at the bar that night and did not seek medical attention for his client. He says they didn't even take her name down. As for Evans, she says she's still healing from the attack, but has a message for the man that she says did this to her.
I would tell him that my mom loves me, my dad loves me, my community loves me. There's nothing that he could ever do to break my spirit.
We stand with you. We in Chicago. It's a 4.5-hour drive. But it ain't nothing to take that drive down here. Yeah. If we got to shut it down. Yeah.
Good morning, Push family. Last week, we went to Quincy, Illinois. Myself, thank God for Reverend Courtney Carson, Brother Carl Coleman, who journeyed with me to Quincy, Illinois and Washington Park, where we rallied with the family of Jasper Evans, with Jasper herself, with the community of Joliet, with Quincy University students, so many people that came out to show our support of Jasper. We rallied in Washington Park, and then we marched all the way from Washington Park to the barn where this incident took place, this bar in Quincy. We rallied out there, and we let everyone know that Jasper Evans is still standing, and we're grateful for that. We then marched back to Washington Park, where we mixed and mingled, and we networked to get a sense of community with all of those that were present. As of now, we went at the invitation of the family of Jasper Evans. We thank God for her mother, Siobhan Williams, and her father. We are now currently waiting for the next steps. Thank God for Attorney Keenan Salter, who is her attorney. We are going forward with this. We're calling for a thorough investigation of everything that happened. And so as of now, we are waiting for the next steps, but we still support and stand with Jasper Evans.
Say justice for Jas!
Justice for Jas!
Justice for Jas!
Justice for Jas!
We here at Push Excel are shaking things up and doing things a little bit different. We realize that you are interested in getting into HBCUs, attending them, excelling, and paying for them. However, we want to equip you with the resources to do so. So, starting April 24th, we are going to be bringing you a market research study with this book here, Raise Your GPA, God's Way to Win at School and Life. We'll be working with Jonathan Banks, and he will be bringing this information to not only you and your families and your students, because he realizes that students do not get 4.0s, families get 4.0s, and he is going to help us excel at that. So after that, we are also going to be bringing you more programs every Saturday for you to excel with the process of attending the HBCUs that you want to attend. All of your organizations, we invite you to join us. Call here at Rainbow Push, Push Excel, so that we can have you join us with this process. Help your students excel. We want you on the bus with us to success.
I know you've been watching the news. We'll continue to share reflections on the Derek Chauvin trial as we look at what's happening in Minneapolis. This whole process will have a tremendous national impact on how police officers who engage in excessive use of force are treated in states and cities around the country.
The former Minneapolis police officer is in jail awaiting sentencing, a jury convicting him on all 3 counts of murder and manslaughter in the death of George Floyd. We're taking a closer look at what this means for cases to come and for sentencing day. Joining me live this morning with some legal perspective and analysis, Atlanta attorney, president of the National Bar Association, and chair of the Rainbow Push Coalition, C.K. Hoffler. Good morning to you, C.K. Thank you again for joining us this week.
Good morning.
So we've heard a lot of talk about the cell phone video and also the importance of the Minneapolis police chief testifying, crossing that blue line there to speak for the prosecution's case here. What do you think sealed the prosecution's case for a guilty verdict?
I think it was really the combination of a number of factors. For sure, the most compelling evidence was a video, 9 minutes and 29 seconds of just violent, oppressive conduct by Derek Chauvin. I mean, that was a very strong and compelling piece of evidence. But that coupled with, as you said, the chief of police and rank and file police officers breaking rank to say that the conduct of Derek Chauvin was not accurate, not correct, a breach of the standard, and was basically wrong on so many levels, and identifying with specificity at what point he should have stopped with the knee to the neck. Mm-hmm. That was very compelling. But it wasn't just that. It was having 4 strong medical experts that set forth really the medicine of how he died and how he didn't die. And then, of course, finally, the fact witnesses. The fact witnesses, people who testified, who actually saw what happened. And then I should actually say, not finally, but you had strong prosecutors. You had excellent lawyering. And so the totality of that picture, with the fact that we are in a state of mind in this country where social justice is permeating, I think resulted in the verdict.
Derek Chauvin being the first white police officer to be convicted in Minnesota for killing a civilian. What do you think this case says for other police-involved killings to come here? Because there were such extenuating circumstances here, like other police officers testifying against another police officer, you don't see this every day. So do all of those factors have to line up to get a guilty verdict later on down the line, do you think?
I don't think all those factors have to line up. And I think the message is there's hope. I do think this is a turning point as it relates to police brutality and excessive use of force for this reason. A strong message has been sent to the police unions. A strong message has been sent to law enforcement. And again, this doesn't take away from the phenomenal police officers who are out there serving this country day in and day out. We're talking about the rogue officers, those that are using excessive use of force, those that are killing and murdering people every single day, especially Black and brown men and women. That's who the message is going to. And we have to have widespread policing reform. It's not enough to just have one strong guilty verdict across the board. There's got to be policing reform, and I believe this is the first step to accomplishing that. And so I think there are a lot of things that have to take place for people to realize the hope and for communities to believe that the police are not the enemy all of the time, because that's a pervasive view. So I think there are so many things that will happen and that shall happen as a result of this. And I think for law enforcement, this is a warning that enough is enough. And when there are rogue police officers who every single day violate the rights of citizens, Black and brown people, they are put on notice. Because if it could happen in the Derek Chauvin case, it can happen in other cases. And I don't think it's going to take the alignment, the perfect alignment of the evidence as it did in the Derek Chauvin case, because all eyes are on what happened. And unfortunately, this has happened before George Floyd was killed, and it's still happening now. We saw during the trial where another young man, Dante Wright, 20 years old, was shot and killed by a police officer. And so and there have been 64 shootings and killings by law enforcement during the pendency of the trial. This is a crisis. This is a pandemic, and it's going to require large measures to turn the tide and for there to be justice overall.
All right, we got to start from somewhere here. C.K. Hoffler,
we do.
We appreciate your time this morning.
It was a seminal moment across the country.
I've heard not guilty so many times, so like my mind was like, hold on, did I hear that right?
From Atlanta,
I cried, tears of joy,
to Boston.
This is a moment in history, right? That, so many people I hope look back on as a, a catalyst for good things to happen.
To Houston, where George Floyd grew up.
Something had to happen to make him understand that, man, you're not above the law.
Minutes before the verdict, outside the courthouse in Minneapolis, Bree Graham told us she couldn't even watch the trial.
It's been the constant trauma and reliving it over and over and over again, and we need to see some justice to feel like we're going somewhere.
So she and others crowded around their cell phones, struggling to hear the jury's decision. And then a wave of relief sliced through the anxiety that had been tightening for almost a year. Former officer Derek Chauvin guilty on all 3 counts.
I can't believe it. There's poetry in the fact that he couldn't breathe, and it feels like we just got a breath of fresh air. Like for the first time, it feels like we can breathe.
Throughout this trial, both the prosecution and the defense had insisted that the case was about the actions of one police officer. But many in this crowd thought it was about much more than that.
I was 11 years old when Trayvon Martin was murdered, and he didn't get justice. I grew up seeing my people not get justice, and so I was scared it was just going to be the same story over and over. So for us to finally have our first victory, it's crazy.
A victory that ricocheted around the world. In Louisville, a city rocked by the death of Breonna Taylor, what started as relief has now turned to reflection.
I'm so surprised I ran up here. I'm shocked. Is it true though?
It's true. Guilty
okay.
on all 3 counts.
Guilty on all 3 counts, as it should be. America got it right for once.
Brother King once said, it's political. We live in our faith, and prayers, we live under the law. Emmett Till was killed in 1955. Jurors out for an hour. Came back, why was it so short? Said, well, we had to get soft drink and smoke a cigarette. That's why it was so short. Well, Rayner asked the juror, why did you convict the killer? You know who he was. Brag about it, he protected his wife. He said, I could not imagine going to jail for killing a nigger. That was 55 years, 1955, now it's 2021. Things are changing. Where the Mississippi River started from now. It's time for a fundamental change. I want to thank, when we lost Johnny Cochran, we thought we lost it all, Johnny Cochran, but God sent Ben Crump. Ben, we thank you so much.
Thank you, Ray.
I do want to say that when the thing first jumped off and Ben was killed, George was killed, Alan Floyd went and met Mr. Freeman, who had the case. He believed it couldn't happen. He believed it had never happened before. We urged him to try Lieutenant Governor, Attorney General Keith Ellison. Keith took the case and had the false charge the first day. He had to put together the legal team, tested the jurors. The whole process led by Keith Ellison. The state is 3% African American. Keith Ellison. 1% Samoan, African American congresswoman. It's not closed. Minnesota, state with great proud traditions, Brother Ben.
Yes, sir.
Sons of Light, but the struggle is not just about black and white, it's about wrong and right. There must be a massive protest march by white citizens of the state who stand for justice and jobs. This is the state of Hubert Humphrey, who led the struggle for public accommodation in '64. This is the state of McCarthy, the struggle for peace. This is the state of those who fought down through the years. When I think about Omar being the Congress 1% Samoan, and she's the Attorney General state 3% black, there are some people in this state been silent too long, must step and speak back and fight back. It's time for change. I want to express my thanks to all of you who come today, the media who covered this story. And it's not the people on the team of Keith are black and white. And we must learn to live together as brothers and not die apart. So we must learn to live together and not die apart. We will live together. I want to express my thanks to Mark Morial, Urban League, and all those who come together today, because we're going to keep marching. Thursday is the funeral for Brother Wright. And we relieved, but we can't celebrate because the killings keep coming. I hope that the case today has broken the backbone of legal lynching. That's what this case should break the backbone of legal lynching. They've lynched us with the law. We're changing that. Thank you very much.
Attention high school seniors and college freshmen, sophomores, and juniors. If you are in need of financial assistance, Push for Excellence offers a variety of scholarships for which you may be eligible to apply. Whether it's the Jesse Jackson Fellows Toyota Scholarship, the Cirillo McSween New York Life Scholarship, or the Oralee Sanders Scholarship, Push for Excellence strives to offer something for everyone. Here are just a few of our scholarship recipients.
Hello everyone viewing, my name is Chidi Osakwe.
Dominique Davis.
Julian Jones.
China Mazum.
Miles Cherubin.
Jalen Clark.
Marcus Anderson.
Jaden Reed.
Kari Young.
It's Megan Chu and I'm a Cirillo McSween Scholar.
I want to take this opportunity to thank Reverend Jesse Jackson for all his support of my college education.
Thank you for all of Toyota for helping with Reverend Jackson with the scholarship as well.
I just want to take the opportunity to say thank you to Reverend Jesse Jackson for helping to make this scholarship opportunity possible for me.
As appreciative as I was before, I'm even more grateful now having received this scholarship.
Not only has it helped me out financially with paying for tuition, but it has also awarded me the opportunity to learn more about the Rainbow Push Coalition and their different initiatives in the African American community.
I'd like to say thank you to Reverend Jesse Jackson and the Rainbow Push Coalition for all the generosity and support that they've shown me throughout my undergraduate career and for the opportunity to pursue higher education.
For more information, please visit our website at www.pushexcel.org and click on the word scholarships. Thank you and keep hope alive.
Push Excel's goal is to inspire students to strive for excellence in education in spite of personal, family, and community challenges that they might experience. How do we do this? By advocating for educational policies that guarantee equal funding for all students without regard to race or economic standing. By engaging parents, students, and teachers in pursuing high-quality education and striving for educational excellence at every level. And by forging partnerships with community-based and public sector stakeholders in education. Now, Push Excel is a national model program with the purpose of connecting principals, parents, popular personalities, and students in a bond and to support students at every level on the educational ladder. Now, we want you to become a member of the Rainbow Push Coalition and Push Excel. Your annual membership can help us to change policies that impact students, colleges, and universities all around the country. So step up and sign up today. Membership is only $35, and if you're a student or a senior, $15. Just go to our website, rainbowpush.org, and push join to become a member, or push donate to support the Push Excel program. You can also text the word Push Excel, that's PUSHEXCEL, to 41444 on your cell phone, and you can give us any amount that you feel comfortable giving, or call us at 773-256-2775. Wherever you are, you can support us as we keep pushing for you. And remember to keep hope alive.
Reverend Jesse Jackson began this work in the late 1990s. He gathered with Silicon Valley leaders in the 90s to talk about this evolving reality of technology and the digital world.
We could bring to pass the vision of Reverend Jesse Louis Jackson Sr., and that is equality even in the tech industry, so that the bad hand that we had been dealt with can be replaced by a good hand of equality of opportunities.
That we should be focused on making sure that our advancements are structural, so that we're actually building new infrastructure, new policy, new ways of doing business that will survive.
Be values driven and don't compromise, and define for your life, this is how I prefer to be treated, this is how I will be treated, and really get with a company that aligns with your values. There's plenty of tech companies out there, and don't budge on that.
People who look like us, Black and brown Americans, to not just get online, but fully leverage this new tech economy and this new online economy that now drives the American economy.
What I would say to tech workers at this moment is, this is a moment of opportunity. If you're not applying for the promotion, if you're not applying for the loan now, don't wait. Get out there. Make these companies make good on their commitments to invest in the African American, Latinx, and other underrepresented minority communities.
These important conversations might not be possible because of your support and partnership. Our collaborative work of advancing economic justice and inclusion in the tech sector will continue.
Another year of excitement, another year of impact, and another year we get to share as we gather the family together to do something great.
I'm going to share with you highlights of our Wall Street conference that was held this year. Some of you were unable to attend, but we wanted you to hear this historic conversation between Reverend Jackson and John Rogers. Remember, it was John Rogers' grandfather who was at the original Wall Street in Tulsa, Oklahoma. So you don't want to miss this discussion at all.
100 years ago, Black Wall Street in Tulsa, Oklahoma. And Ron's father owned a hotel in the Stratford Hotel 100 years ago. John, what happened?
It was a horrific thing. As you know, 100 years ago, we had this race riot. It was just totally unfair. A young black man was falsely accused of assaulting a white woman in an elevator. We don't think it really happened. People were afraid that this young man was going to be lynched that evening. So the black leadership came to the jailhouse to protect this young man. And my great-grandfather, J.B. Stratford, was one of the leaders in the community. So he was there. He was a part of bringing people together, and he always had a long history of speaking for economic justice and social justice in Tulsa. At the same time, he owned the Stratford Hotel, which was one of the largest black-owned hotels of the nation at the time. With all of his land, he was a millionaire already back then. And so during the Tulsa Race Massacre, they burned down his entire hotel, as we know, in the whole Greenwood section of Tulsa. And my great-grandfather had to escape Tulsa because there was real fears that they were going to arrest him and possibly lynch him because he was seen as a leader in the community.
300 people were killed. Others were sent to exile, never seen again. Several thousand.
Exactly. I know there are graves there. They're trying to find the bodies of those that were killed during the race riots. And again, luckily, fortunately, my great-grandfather was able to escape Tulsa. He got to Kansas City, where my grandfather, his son, used his legal skills to stop Tulsa from extraditing him back to Tulsa, where he could possibly be lynched.
No Dred Scott case, huh?
It could have been. And as you know, you knew my mom very well. She told everyone that she became a lawyer, the first black woman to graduate from the University of Chicago Law School. She was inspired to be a lawyer by her father using his legal skills to save his father's life. And that's why my mom became a lawyer and ultimately settled, as you know, on Greenwood Avenue in Chicago.
100 years ago. What's different today?
Well, one of the things right now, at least we're not fearful of, the fear of lynching is much less than it used to be. We know that. But when it comes to equal economic opportunity, we're no better off. It's still a challenge for African-American entrepreneurs to build a business of scale and size that can last. As we know, we've lost so many of our great businesses. Johnson Publishing is gone. Independence Bank is gone.
Seaway Bank.
Seaway Bank's gone.
We've lost radio stations, TV stations in the last 20 years.
Exactly. We're going backwards. The wealth gap is much, much worse today than it was from our grandparents' generation. Relative to white Americans, the dean of Yale Business School has all this data that shows that we're worse off than our grandparents were relative to white Americans.
My concern now is that we've lived 24 years since we began this project.
I think our Wall Street project has had enormous impact. With the work that you've done to shine a light on the unfairness in Wall Street, how it still doesn't have the appropriate number of African Americans in leadership roles, in managing director role, partnership roles. We're still not enough black financial services companies in this country, but you've helped shine a light on it and has helped to make improvements and created opportunities for all of us. I always tell people we got one of our biggest clients, General Motors, because you introduced me to the CEO of General Motors at the Wall Street Project. And I got a conversation going with him. He added our mutual funds to their 401k plan. And literally probably 20 years later, we're still there. And it was because of your leadership and actually later on, support from other Rainbow Push leaders that kept us in there when we were having a little bit of a tough time. And people went to bat for us and fought for us because they believed in your values and believed in our values.
When we began Wall Street Project, they didn't honor Dr. King's birthday on the Wall Street Stock Exchange. They do now.
Well, that's so important. And it's so important that we honor Dr. King. And as you know, he was always on this issue of economic justice. He always talked about, you know better than I, how white Americans, progressive white Americans, deplore prejudice, but accept or ignore economic injustice. And that continues to be the case today, that people forget that we need to have the opportunity to fully participate in our capitalist.
We're free but not equal. Free but not have access. I call it the 4 stages of our struggle. Stage 1 was to end legal slavery, 246 years. 2nd was to end legal Jim Crow. 3rd, right to vote. 4th, access to capital. We don't have access to capital.
We're making some progress with getting access to capital, but we also need access to customers, which you've always understood better than any other political leader and community leader and national leader that you are, and international leader that you are, that if we don't have customers, we can't grow our businesses. You're the one that forced the grocery stores and the drug stores to have Afro Sheen and Ultra Sheen on their shelves. You made sure that happened. We need to have customers. And too many of these large, wide institutions continue to not work with black businesses. They talk a good game, promise to do it, find every excuse not to. And so it's so important. Your voice is so critical in pushing that.
We're trying to leverage economic power. We have political power, but more economic power, and we're not using it yet effectively.
That's for sure.
We have to beg people, please vote, please vote. That's where we spend money. Stop spending so much in places that does not respect you. So it is access to capital is a big deal to us.
I understand how important access to capital is and access to customers, but the one thing I don't understand, Reverend, is that a prior generation, when Maynard Jackson was mayor of Atlanta and Harold Washington here in Chicago, we had Coleman Young in Detroit and Marion Barry in Washington, they were all singing from your hymnal to make sure that we got economic opportunities in those great cities. We've lost a lot of that type of political leadership for some of them.
We lost the edge.
Right.
It was a big deal for them to get blacks with pension funds for the first time. Made them start their own financial company, right?
Right.
4 years after today, we should have access to pension funds, state, federal pension funds. Well, how much pension funds do you think our federal government has?
Oh, the federal government has, I think it's over $1 trillion, I think. Don't hold me to that, because it's.
What about 401k? What you do?
Yeah, they have a huge defined contribution plan, the equivalent of a 401k, that's, my understanding, is completely run by BlackRock. They've got one firm that manages the entire thing. But if you think of all the big contractors that work with the federal government, all the big defense companies and healthcare companies and American Airlines, United Airlines, all these folks that have been bailed out by the government still refuse to work with blacks when it comes to professional services and financial services for the most part. There's always an exception here, though.
We've all not raised the right questions. Given Biden's interest in development and fighting racism and all that, if he were to organize a development bank, as a citizens, there's so much bigger property than farming, urban farming in cities. But we cannot get capital to grow. If you were the big banks lend us money reluctantly, something called CDC. Mm-hmm. They're not in business to develop undeveloped ghettos. Fact of the matter, if we had a development bank, a lot of talk about the Marshall Plan. Marshall Plan was 50-50 loans and 2% government secured. Development. It is meant to not make money, but develop. If we had the development banks for our major cities, blacks, Latinos, and Asian Americans, that'd be a major step in the right direction, John.
That would be the right thing. But just remember, when we get that capital, we need that customers. Because as you know, what McDonald's has done, which you've been so close to McDonald's over the years, they have 5 of the top largest black-owned companies in this country are McDonald's suppliers. And those companies don't need capital, because when the McDonald's is buying sausages from them or croutons from them or syrups from them, they can get all the capital they need. And so you need to make sure that we get these more and more corporations to act the way McDonald's does, the way that Exelon does, the way the University of Chicago does, to work with black businesses.
Sure, but you know, John, we also have the government, the big business, they give the tax cut to build the business, the tax break once they get the business, and then the government becomes their market. So a lot of their market is built into the institution, the lending.
Well, that's true. But when you think about these banks lending, when you talk about, the banks also spend a fortune on all kinds of products and projects. And, you know, and I've talked to your good friend Maxine Waters about this, and as chairman of the House Financial Services Committee, and her colleague Joyce Beatty, now the chairman of the Black Congressional Caucus. It is just so important that they demand that these financial institutions do business with black people, you know?
It seems to me that if we were to demand in this year's 24th Wall Street Conference, a development bank, it's not just for blacks. Even blacks, Latinos, and Asian Americans who are facing the racism every day, who are facing the hardships. And you get money based on your poverty level, a kind of reparations of sorts. Repair the damage done. We cannot, the wealth gap is getting wider, right? Mm-hmm. If you have more have least. We can only break the cycle if we have a plan to break into the economy. We do football Super Bowl a few weeks ago, right? Everybody's excited, thought Kansas was going to win, and Tampa didn't have a chance. Tampa won the game. But when the playing field is even, you don't win the game on hype on the field. We do well in football, basketball, playing field even, rules public, goals lit, referee fair, scores transparent. Those 5 qualities must exist beyond the ball field, John.
That's true.
Even playing field, public rules, field goals, scores transparent.
Transparency, I'm so glad you talked about transparency, because it's just so important. You know, here in our home state, Chris Welch, our new Speaker of the House, he forced all the corporations to be transparent about the lack of diversity on their boards, which I know you have been an advocate for generations. And all of a sudden, when they've had to show exactly how much lack of diversity there are in their boardrooms, they're feeling the pressure to do the right thing. And all of a sudden, Walgreens gets their only black director after Chris Welch forced the transparency here in Illinois.
I want to spend a little tribute to Vernon Jordan. Vernon was on many of the boards, demanded from those companies affirmative action programs. So he did sit on the board, he worked on the board. Too many blacks sit on boards, but they don't make a difference.
That's for sure. You know, you and I have talked a lot about the fact that we got not only get more blacks on boards, but get blacks on boards who are going to fight for economic justice and fairness once they get in that board.
You organize black board members around the country. You put a set of demands so when they get on the board, they kind of know what to ask for.
We've asked everybody to agree to do that and sign off on our pledge of measuring, purchasing, and people in philanthropy, the 3 Ps. But also, as you know, every year we've had a leader like yourself, the late Congressman John Lewis, Harry Belafonte, Andy Young, your old friends, all the folks who are close to Dr. King, to come to the conference, speak to the next generation of black directors, and remind them that they have a responsibility to fight for economic justice in the boardroom, to live the values of Dr. King, to follow John Lewis's mantra, make good trouble once you're in that boardroom.
It seems to me that we fight for the right to vote and get leverage. We don't fight for the right of economic justice.
These venture capital guys and hedge fund guys who are making hundreds of millions of dollars, if not billions, they've got to be supporting you.
It seems to me that one thing that we missed, we must address, is know what to ask for. One of the values you had at your annual conference of leaders, what to ask for. Right now, given Biden's disposition toward racial justice and inclusion, we should know precisely how much pension funds they are. Well, I share pension funds to invest. I share to invest 401k, because we'll contribute taxes and representation in Washington, for example. We'll contribute to the taxes and the pension funds that tell us we're investment unworthy. UAW workers, for example, all the workers. Those who have the money will invest in the ghetto by and large. They say, well, the money comes from them, but we live as investment unworthy. That's a very subjective notion, you know. So the trust property in America is now vacant. The rise of 1968, still vacant. They're trying to plant corn and vegetables in those places. That's for the businesses, because there's a fourth stage about capital. It's an interesting stage. We've had slavery, 246 years. Jim Crow, another 80 years. Segregation after that. Right to vote. Now that's the capital. We must demand our share of capital. If every state, if we got our share of pension funds to invest, in every state, federal government, our share of 401k, we'd have capital. Because it's our share of capital.
Exactly. If we could get our opportunities to fully participate in the wealth building parts of our economy. You know, you and I have talked about the fact also we have this term supplier diversity, which means that well-meaning people will only give us a chance to do supply chain work, which is important. Construction, catering, janitorial service, those are important industries. But the wealth and power today are on Wall Street, Silicon Valley, professional services. That's where people are making the real money, and that's what
we're still in Silicon Valley. They had 185 white board members, 36 white women, 3 blacks, 1 Latino. Now blacks on the board of Apple and Facebook and all that. Because I work in Silicon Valley. But and Jim Bell, at Apple, he's leveraging because he understands business, make it happen.
You know, I remember you had all those visits to Silicon Valley and made such a difference. And you know, and you work closely with Black Enterprise that helped create all the data that we needed to be able to show the lack of diversity there. But if you hadn't shown up, it would still be the way it is.
Black Enterprise is a great outlet for us. I miss Jet so much and evidence so much. Jack, if you were in the military in Australia, Africa, or wherever, you Jet magazine. We don't have a Jet magazine.
It's heartbreaking, huh?
Emmett Till was lynched. There was a couple the Chicago Defender made such an issue of it, and Jet's was biggest magazines covered Emmett Till's face body. 100,000 came to visit because black press had a role to play, and they played it magnificently.
It's just so heartbreaking to lose Ebony and Jet. And as you know, that headquarters building was so powerful, such a powerful symbol for black entrepreneurship around the world.
11 stories high. John wanted a 33-story building. They wouldn't lend them on Michigan Avenue. So he had to use his own money. Herman Russell in Atlanta has built this nice restaurant, first class, and hotel. He wanted to have a bigger hotel. Sitting on bank, but he had to put up his own money. So there's still a certain notion about black in business. So some of us don't believe in black businesses, don't appreciate its impact. We must now demand access to investment capital, pension funds and university pension funds. Universities are notorious, right? Name some of them. Harvard, they won't let us manage that money.
Well, they're making progress, you know, under the pressure they're getting from Congress, again, progressive leaders like Maxine and Joyce and Congressman Cleaver and Congressman Kennedy, yourself. Others are forcing these universities to do more, and they're starting to do it. Finally, some of them are using black managers for their endowments.
They shouldn't react to us because, including the growth, everybody wins. I mean, we came to football and reacted, now everybody's winning. Basketball, everybody's winning. Because when we get in, we don't, it doesn't hurt everybody, it helps everybody.
That's for sure. And as my father always said, you got to live up to the commitments you make to others. These institutions have made commitments that they care about diversity and inclusion, but they haven't been living those values.
I want people to come to Wall Street this year, hit us online, rainbowpushes.org. You hit Wall Street, get how to connect with us. We must leverage that habit to get our share of capital. Because if you're big and somebody else write your paycheck, you're never free. We're free, we're not equal. We're free.
Because of the segregation, because of the Jim Crow laws, we didn't create a chance to build wealth that can go down and be passed down generation to generation.
Separate equal meant that we were separate, but we were on the scorcher side of the equation. So we were separated, but we could not separate from access to capital, banks, insurance companies, and lending, separated from military protection. So the hoodlums just burned up Tulsa 100 years ago, case in point. And we couldn't even make money with our own community at that time. Now we have more freedom, we have more political power. Our demand structure must be it. That's what this conference is about this week. We're demanding our share of pension funds. I keep sharing pension funds because the money's just there. It's our money. Right. All the workers, it's our money. Service workers, it's our money. Airline, it's our money. So when we meet with the president, we have to demand that we know how much pension funds there are. To get our share of pension funds would be a lot of money, wouldn't it?
It'd be a lot. It'd be a lot. We would all of us in financial services would be in a whole other category. Our businesses would be double our size, triple our size.
On your company, Ariel Capital, describe your capital. What do you do? How have you grown, sir?
Well, Ariel, we have about $17 billion under management. But it's in two areas. One is we do manage pension plans and parts of endowments where we take a portion of large pools of capital and invest it. Our specialty is the stock market, and we invest in international and global investing in small and mid-cap value stocks. That's what we've been doing for a long, long time. The second business is we have our mutual funds that are available for individual investors and can be added to any 401k plan in the country, can be a part of any financial advisors menu when they're talking to their wealthy customers, their individual customers.
People who are watching you today, what can they do to help Ariel?
What they can do is when they go to work, say, why isn't Ariel Mutual Funds on our platform at the 401k? Why isn't it one of the options in our 401k?
We have a list of companies.
Yeah.
Ariel's not in the list.
Exactly.
If they knew Ariel was in the list, they could choose Ariel.
Exactly. Just like, you push I use that example all the time. You push grocery stores that put black products on the shelves so the black consumers could pick those products along with Coke and Pepsi and all the other big brands. Well, people with their 401k, they got Vanguard or Fidelity or T. Rowe Price, these big giant companies. Ariel Fund should be one of those options for employees. So people go to work and say, we care about diversity and inclusion, but none of our fund options are black owned.
I raise this because some of us don't know the answer what you're talking about. When we do the access pension funds, I keep pension funds because so much money in pension funds. I mean, what they've done, Cal Spurs.
Cal Sturs and CalPERS, yeah.
Man, the kind of money they've invested, it's our money. We're not demanding it. So I want to thank you for having this conversation today. I want many black board members who are watching on board, something because of our work. Support us in our efforts to make a difference. We're going to spend a lot of time this year on the development bank idea, the development bank, the idea of effective use of our monies to invest them, the green line, the red line zone. And if we may or may not, it may run us out of politics. We have every product on the store, we have margin profit. We can negotiate with anybody. No company can survive without our investment.
So important the work you're doing, Reverend. So
Chain store has 15,000 products. Every product in that store needs us.
Well, we need you, right? We need you, and we got to get all of our folks to be involved and engaged with PUSH. I talk about it all the time, how important your work is, and people need to be there, show up, write their checks, be supportive, and tell friends to come. It's just, it's in their own interest.
RainbowPush.org, and hit money. Hit Wall Street. Just thank you for sharing today your grandfather's story, your story. While you're so rich, you couldn't have it, huh? The legacy of it. Your grandfather was a hotel owner in Tulsa. His son freed him, saved him from being lynched. Your mother succeeded him. And so that legacy of family. And the Wall Street Prize this year, we're going to focus a lot on 4-stage action, capital, industry, technology, and deal flow. And you're in the middle of it. But thank you so very much.
Thank you.
I don't want you to miss this year's convention. You don't have to go anywhere. It's virtual. You got to save the date, June 19th, June 19th through June 24th. I can't tell you all of the details, but I'm telling you it's virtual. Every day it's going to be power-packed. It's going to be exciting. It's going to be people that you would normally not get to meet, and you're going to have some sessions where you can talk to them online. You can raise questions. I know you've been wanting to ask questions. Well, you want to come to this year's Rainbow Push Virtual International Convention. It's going to be on. Don't miss it.
For 2021, we're excited to get more people engaged and involved in Rainbow Push, supporting the programs of Push for Excellence and the Citizenship Education Fund. Now, if you're interested in public policy and you want to help change the policies that impact those who are incarcerated, you can do so. If you're interested in impacting public policies that benefit education and businesses with social economic solutions, you can do that as well. You can become a policymaker by becoming a member of Rainbow Push right now. Now, if you believe in the scholarships that we've given to thousands of students each year, you can help us out. We've awarded more than $10 million in scholarships year to date. Now, you can help young people achieve a higher education by becoming a member of Rainbow Push right now for the annual fee of only $35. And if you're a student or a senior, it's only $15. You can help us make a difference in the lives of millions. Now, if you watch us every week, or if you listen to us on the radio, or if you're viewing on social media, we need you to become a member. And how do you become a member? It's simple. Visit us at rainbowpush.org and press join. Maybe you'd like to support the work of Push. If so, it's really simple. You can do so by texting the word PUSH, that's P-U-S-H, to 41444 on your cell phone, and you can give any amount that you feel comfortable giving, or you can call us at 773-256-2775 or go to rainbowpush.org and push donate. So whenever you want to support, you can do it from anywhere. So keep pushing, because we're going to keep pushing for you and keep hope alive.
Dr. Kim, I went to jail with a group of 7 students, July 17, 1960, almost 60 years ago. We never stopped moving. I lost a few jail cells and death. We never stopped moving. I thought it was time to write some of it down so the older generation can learn how we did and what we did and how global it was. Whether speaking about Mandela in South Africa, India, Qatar, Gandhi in India, here at home. This book tells the story, so please get it and give it to your friends. Read it, let's argue about it, let's discuss it.
Yep, so the book is Keeping Hope Alive, Sermons and Speeches of Reverend Jesse Jackson Sr. It's quite a good collection. You know, we've got sermons and speeches from around the globe because you have made such a global impact, not just here in the US, but around the world.
Thank you for tuning in to our International Saturday morning broadcast. We need your support. Here are ways to give to Rainbow Push Coalition. Text PUSH, P-U-S-H, to 41444 to support the work of Reverend Jesse Jackson Sr. and Rainbow Push Coalition. When you shop, Amazon gives. Visit Amazon Smile and select Push for Excellence as your charitable organization by starting your shopping at smile.amazon.com.
Get involved with the movement.
Somebody. I may be poor, but I am somebody.
Join the movement.
If you're not a member, become a member.
I am somebody.
Fighting the most important battles for freedom and justice for all.
You made us change. Oh, trying to bring closer.
Join Rainbow Push.
But you're not pushing me away.
Join the movement.